Ja, Estelle, baie dankie. Ek dink wat jy reeds gedeel het met almal van ons, glo ek gaan so 'n groot impak hê op mense wat deur verskillende fases van hulle lewe gaan. As iemand wat 'n onderwysagtergrond het, jy weet die impak van woorde van opvoeders, onderwysers op kinders se lewens, die kwessie rondom die betrokkenheid of die afwesigheid van pa's in hulle dogters se lewe, die hele kwessie van rebellion en wanneer ons kwaad raak vir die kerk oor wat binne die vier mure van kerk gebeur, maar ook hierdie wonderlike storie dat die Here kan jou daardeur lei, en hy kan jou bring in jou eie identity en binne in jou eie ministry. Nou, jy woon vir hoe lank nou al in die FSA, jy het die liefde van jou lewe ontmoet, wil jy graag 'n bietjie dit share met ons, want jou pa is baie fond daaroor, hoe die Here al hierdie goeders uitgewerk het. And I find it so exciting, especially where young girls have to make choices. En ons weet, in die kerk is daar meer vroue as wat daar mans is. Hulle sê ook vir jou, pastor, hier in die kraal is daar nie veel nie. Kom praat met 'n bietjie met ons oor dit so, man.
Ek het my man, ek bly nou al, ek is getroud 15 jaar, 4 pragtige dogters. Ek bly nou al in Amerika, ek kan sê vir meer as 10 jaar bly ek daar so. Het hom ontmoet terwyl hy hier op missionary werk gewees het. Hy het eers in Parel gaan preek. Daai naweek toe ek teruggekom uit Namibië uit van 'n jeugkonferensie af en ek hoor die profeet is op pad na ons kerk toe en papa sê toe vir my, Stella, jy moet gaan Parel toe want die man is op pad na ons kerk toe. Jy is die praise and worship leader. Gaan kyk hoe hy vloei because he's got a major in a master's degree. He's got a bachelor's degree in music and arts. En so, gaan toch, laat ons nog nie vir ons naam in 'n plank slaat, laat ons nog net weet hoe om te vloei en so aan. Toe gaan ek nou, die baie gelus nie. Want ek het altyd hierdie persepsie gehad van Amerikaanse mense, as hulle kom, maar hulle is net, jy nie, beter as, hulle kom na derde wêreld country toe, so. En ek gaan toe en ek geniet die diens, ek dink daar was daai aan, seker so oor die 1200 mense in hy plek. En hy het begin bedien, hy was by Pastor John Marillac, daar begin, en ek gaan toe daai kant toe, en ek het so aan die regterkant, die gehoor was die kant, daai kant sal ek maar sê, en ek het so aan die regterkant gesit. Hy het begin profeteer, en met die wat hy begin profeteer hy na die crowd toe, maar dit wat hy sê, klink na ek, waarvan hy praat. Sê, you've been in overseas, en daai tyd het ek teruggekom van Bishop John Francis' conference af. You've been overseas, but God is preparing another platform. You can sing since you was very small age. You've been in a group, en ek was mos in 'n groep, en alles daai. En ek sê, maar die man kyk daai kant toe, ek sit aan hierdie kant, so dit moet seker maar iemand anders wees. En hy sê, when I count to 3, I will turn to you, and I want you to come. And I say 1, 2, 3, and 2, I try to say the lady in the black jacket, the black leather jacket with the jean skirts on, and I get a black leather jacket met jean skirts on gehad, swart polo neck en boots, swart boots. En ek loop toe na hom toe en hy profeteer nog steeds en hy profeteer. En die oomblik toe hy sy hand op my les, toe ons nou agterna gesels, toe sê vir my, daai was die oomblik toe die Here vir jou sê, die persoon wie jy nou net voorgebid het, is jou vrou.
Wow.
En of course, het hy ook moes maar nog geselskappe, moes maar gedate en so aan te. Ek was nie in 'n vaste verhouding op daai oomblik nie. En hy sê toe, die Here van hom daai gesê, toe hy ook sommer klam in die hele diens, soos hy uit. En sê toe vir my, die pastoor se toestemming gekry om saam met my te praat agterna, en hy bel toe vir my daai aan, en hy sê vir my dat dit is wat die Here gesê het, en my gaan sê, hy het nog net saam met sy pa gebid, en sy pa het saam om gebid, en so aan te, en ek sê vir hom, if that's what God is saying, I didn't hear anything yet, I need to go pray and ask God for confirmation. Maar so het ons aangegaan en gesels, en die volgende oggend toe ek die Bybel oopmaak, maak ek die Bybel oop by, this is the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous.
Wow.
En ek het die woord gevat en ek het hom gesê, okay, I think I've got my confirmation that this is the Lord's doing and it is marvelous. En toe ek agterkom hoe sy naam gespel is, die betekenis van my naam is binne in sy naam.
Wow.
His name is spelled Aristarchus, Aristarchus. And the meaning of my name means star.
Wow.
And so I was like, okay, that's probably another confirmation. En maar toe ons nou vir Pippa dit verduidelik toe, daai aand was ons in 'n kamer. Ons was in 'n kamer. En Apostel Engels kom en sê, Pastor, hier's nog 'n ander ding, jong. Hierdie man sê, dis sy vrou. Toe Apostel dit sê, toe lyk dit my pa weet nie waar sy en die deur se hendel is aan die kant, Pippa gryp aan die kant om uit te gaan by die deur. En my pa, hy het geweet wat dit beteken. Dit beteken of twee dinge. Die kind gaan nou gaan, moet gaan.
Ja.
But hoe meer Papa gebid het dat as dit nie van die Here af is, hy moet nie laat hy bel nie. Hoe meer Papa gebid het, moenie laat hy bel nie, hoe meer het hy gebel. En die aande, en ons was nog daai die huisfoon gehad.
Dis reg, ja.
Elke aand is ek sit by die huisfoon en from there, a lot of things that I wrote down in a diary. I don't want to date someone as long no more. I want to get married in 6 months. Terwyl ons gesels het, ek gesê ek wil graag trou binne die volgende 6 maande.
Wow.
So in our conversation, a lot of things that I wrote down was confirmed.
Nou, daar's 'n klomp jong meisies daar, nie jong vroue.
Yes.
En ek dink een van die grootste fees wat wanneer kinders in hulle 20s en laat 20s word, hierdie vrees dat soos rondom hier in Suid-Afrika sê dat jy op die rak gaan sit.
Ja.
Wat 'n woord sal jy vir hulle gee? Want ek dink dit is nog hulle ding wat ook fear bring en insecurity.
Yes, definitely. And for me, I wasn't looking for a husband at that time. I was focused on ministry. I was doing youth revivals. I was now, maar een ding wat die Here ook vir my gesê het, if you become focused on me, I'm going to accelerate the years that you've lost.
Wow.
The years that I'm going to bring you up to where you needed to be, to speed. So I wasn't looking for a husband. I was focused, you know. I came out of a 5-year relationship just prior to that, probably like a year or two before that. So I was like relaxed and calm. But if you trust God and if you focus, dis soos die woord sê, soek eers die koninkryk van God, dan sal al hierdie dinge sal vir jou. Dit maak nie saak hoe oud jy is, die Here te vermoë om jou current te bring.
Okay.
God is a way to bring you to now you take someone and then it's not the person just because you want someone in your life. And then you end up then you end up being in a divorce court. Now you end up being, you know, having regrets and having to now live with that thing that ek was hastig geweest, so ek het nog net gevat. And he will find you.
Wow.
You won't find him. He will find you.
Fantastic.
I've never looked for. He found me in a small place.
Ja.
Hy het gevra, iemand het gevra wat goed kan uit woestery kom, maar hy het nou net so skampe gegooi terwyl hy preek. Hy's net so, he's 'n goeie ding wat hier uit woestery uit gekom het. And so for him to, you know, and even with ministry, you know, it's important that you find someone that can push your ministry and push your destiny and push who you are. Don't ever marry someone, because I've counseled people that took the wrong partners.
Wow.
And it's more regret.
Sure.
It's more unhappiness than anything else. So be patient and trust God.
That's hoop, man.
That is, kyk as jy vir my sien, that is hoop. That is definitely hoop.
Estelle, kom ons fast forward so 'n bietjie. Jy weet ons moet nog sommer nog lank praat. Maar kom ons fast forward so 'n bietjie en jy's nou uiteindelik as jy Amerika toe. Die Here sê mos maar vir Jabes, hy sal jou grondgebied vermeerder en al hierdie goed. En jy kyk die agtergrond van wat jou ouers ingesit het in die dienswerk van die Here. So you came into your own en jy praat van die invloed van jou husband op jou ministry en so aan. So praat met ons bietjie oor wat dit is wat jy doen. Nog miskien so ietsie oor die laaste chapters van die boek The Pastor's Kid, want ek dink dis 'n journey, daar gaan nog boeke uitkom. So share net met ons veral ons jong vroue ook daar buite, want it's exciting hoe die Here jou gebruik.
It was, I think my first 5 years was my discovery years, because now the chapter of the pastor's kid has kind of closed. Now I'm walking into being a bishop's wife. Because we got married in February 2008. In 2009, he was ordained as a bishop. And so now I'm a bishop's wife. And my mother is not a very vocal. My mother's laid back, and I had to, and then coming from where I was mostly in a leadership position in my father's church, now I have to learn how to submit. Nie dat ek 'n groot probleem gehad het, but ek ken mos maar hoe is dit maar in ons kultuur ook. So now I'm shifting over to the USA. I am now a bishop's wife. I'm a young bishop's wife at that.
Of course, yeah.
And so now going into a whole nother culture, a whole nother environment, a whole nother world. It was challenging because I came from a house, waar ons vrylik onsself express het. But toe ek daar kom, het ek baie ander dingetjies ge-experience. Dit is hoe die ding werk, dit is hoe dit gedoen word. Baie tradisioneel, tradisionele setup was ek gewees. But nog steeds weet ek, my man is die een wat hy is eintlik so tradisioneel, want ons kerk hier in Suid-Afrika is very free, and So the first 5 years was me really adapting to the environment of America. And then in somewhere along that, I again lost my identity, because now I'm an American when I'm in America, and I'm a South African when I'm in South Africa. So I felt like I was living two different lives.
Okay.
So in America, I was that, in South Africa, and it took a while as well to burst out of that cocoon.
Okay.
That even though you are the bishop's wife, you are still Estelle. Don't lose your identity and where you come from, and who you are, and who groomed you, and who has imparted into you. And that my pa's influence weer sterk na vore gekom, because he always will remind me. Ek sê nie jy moet jou man, disrespect, but don't forget who you are, and what God has imparted and invested into you. And so growing up, after my father-in-law passed away, my husband took over his father's church, and that's a 2-hour drive every Sunday.
Wow.
It's a 2-hour drive
And
every
where
Sunday.
exactly in the USA is that?
Now, we stay in Florence, South Carolina, but the church is in Magnolia, North Carolina, and that's 2 hours.
So it's
there.
a different state.
It's a whole different state.
Yeah.
So it's 2 hours there and 2 hours back. On a Sunday, that's already 4 hours. Having to deal with a 13-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 4-year-old, and an 8-month-old. Just take net gou alles daarin. So in the morning, we have to get up at 6. Have to get everybody ready. Van hulle slaap beteken dat ons hulle maar net in die kar sit, and then when we get there, we have to, because there wasn't too many members in the church, so we have to rebuild. The membership back up, and having to shift, because you deal with regional demographics as well.
Okay.
The people in Cape Town is not the same as Worcester.
Yes,
the people in Worcester is not the same as Johannesburg. And every state has its own things that you have to deal with.
All right.
So in the Magnolia area, we had to deal also with a lot of religious background and people. Yes. And so still working the gospel plow there. En as jy nie lief is vir die Here nie, sal jy nie in 'n 2 ure drive kerk toe.
Elke Sondag.
Yeah. And then my husband started another branch in South Carolina, Columbia, just outside of Columbia, and that's another. So the 2 hours back, and then another hour and 45 minutes to the other branch.
Absoluut.
And that is Greater Vision Recover All Center in Batesburg and Leesville. Very, very beautiful people, lovely, eager people to serve God.
Wow.
I love them to death. And so we're busy there working that side. So,
But that's fantastic. And with you're still involved with worship?
I'm still involved in the Magnolia branch. I actually do the worship. We had a worship team, and church things happened, and of course that's an ander boek vir 'n ander geleentheid. And then God, just orchestrated back. I think it was necessary because I was still dealing with a lot of things, and when I worship, it's my safe place, it's my healing place, and so some things God does purposely. Because while I was sitting down, I was actually going doom, doom, doom. And when I started doing praise and worship, it was like, here I'm coming out again. It gives me new life when I do it. It heals me when I do it.
Sure, that's fantastic. If you can maybe just this whole thing about worship, I think that is still an area that, especially at home, that we still need to study more and to
Understood.
And understand, what it is. So, for the worshipers out there, what's the advice that you will give to them? I know you can sing very well and so on, and minister in that way.
Yes,
but when we speak about worshiping, praise and worship.
Praise and worship. Always when I look at praise and worship, I look at the tabernacle, how it was set up. And I will always try to replicate that when I come into His presence. There was the big brazen, I think, bowl that was reflecting your image in the water when you look at it before you can go into the holies of holies. And so I always take that as a worshiper. When I find myself in His presence, I have to reflect. I have to look there and see what is reflecting back. Before you can lead people in worship, you have to get your spirit right. Get whatever is wrong within me, cleanse it, take it out, do whatever it is that you need to do with it. Then I move in with fellowship. You cannot be a worshiper and don't know how to fellowship with people.
Wow.
You cannot be a worshiper and don't know how to greet people and how to. You can't even unstop and ek is die praise, and it's not about you. It's about fellowshipping. It's about touching the heart. It's about getting the people of God into a place of worship so that they can touch the heart of, because people come from different houses, people come out of different environments, and the only way that God can descend is when everyone become unified. So it's your job as a praise and worship leader to unify the body of Christ during praise and worship so that God cannot move where there's division.
Absolutely not.
Impossible. Yeah. God cannot, and when people's minds are divided, that's why it's so hard. Praise and worship is participation.
Wow.
It takes participation. It takes you to you need to be involved in what we are doing. As ek kan nie praise and worship and mense sit so then let's stop the whole thing. Let us get the reason why we are here. Let's get that, because God can move. God can heal you during praise and worship.
Yes.
Nobody has to lay hands on you. I think the laying of hands has become so popular that people, nee, as die pastorie op my hande gaan lê nie, hoekom moet ek praise and worship, or why should I participate? But I've learned that structure and it has worked for me.
Maar Estelle, dis so 'n belangrike ding wat jy noem daar, want hierdie hele kwessie van die uitleg van die tabernakel en die koper waskom, en hoe jy jou eie reflection daarin sien. Maar ook die hele kwessie wat jy share rondom that you have to be able to relate to people.
Yes.
And that is absolutely fantastic. So when you worship, you are always mindful of the layout of the tabernacle.
Yes.
Yeah,
always.
That's one thing. The other thing that I wanted to ask you, the time prior to that, when you come from home or the week before that, how do you prepare for worship? Keeping the layout of the tabernacle in mind.
So what I do is while we're driving or while I'm on my way there already, I prepare my mind, I prepare my spirit. I will listen to worship music. I will listen to, either intercessory prayer, warfare prayers. I will either go because I'm coming there, but I don't know. I know that I'm going to deal with someone that is going to come in there that is going to be depressed, that is going to feel like they're losing hope. I'm going to deal with people because life itself now has become so stressful. A lot of things, gas is going up, petrol is going up, food prices is going up, people's salaries is not increasing, Really, when you come into the presence of God, you now have to charge the atmosphere and let people believe that there is hope. There's hope. There's hope. The God that we are singing about, the God that. So I program my mind already driving that whatever person is going to come in, laat my aanbidding u krag aftrek in die gebou en hulle unify en begin beweeg. Tel iemand op wat hoop nodig het. Gee hoop vir die hopelose. Gee joy vir die een wat inkom wat nie meer joyful is. Gee encouragement. Yes. So I want all of that to kind of happen during praise and worship so that when the word comes, it falls on wet ground.
Yes.
Fertile ground. Worship is to fertilize the ground.
Wow.
So that when the word comes, the word is a seed, and when it penetrates, that it penetrates into good soil that has already been fertilized.
Wow.
So the pastor don't have to now sing 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, 7 songs now again to get, because when you minister, you can, when you start and you can feel the atmosphere. And if the atmosphere is not conducive for the word to come through, then he needs to sing another song to get the people's minds together.
Wow.
And so that's my goal.
Yeah. Estelle, voor ons vir jou 'n geleentheid gee om net die final word vir almal daar buite te sê. Want it is so inspiring what you've shared with us today. En ek kan vir jou met sekerheid sê is that it will impact a lot of lives. And certainly we will have a look even at our own local team. Yes. You know, just to spend time watching and listening to this recording. So I would love to have you here the whole day, but if you would share a final word with everybody that's tuned in and looking at this broadcast, yes. What would that be? But thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much, Pastor, for having me. I want to speak to someone that is really in a low place. That I feel that's my assignment, because God will never take you through something unless you can come out of it and be an encouragement and be a blessing. So what you're going through is never for yourself, but it is always God taking you through to test you, to test your faith in Him, I want to encourage you, to let you know that where you are is not your final destination. I know you feel hopeless. I know you feel like you've been counted out. Ek weet jy voel bedruk. Jy voel miskien mismoedig. En jy voel miskien dat daar is nie meer hoop nie. And the cares of the world is really just on you. Kinders miskien luister nie. Jy het uitdagings met 'n tiener. Voel vir jou jy het gefaal as 'n ma. Voel vir jou jy het gefaal as 'n pa. Maar solank as wat jy nog vanoggend op kon gestaan het en daar is asem in jou longe en jy het nog steeds die activity of your limbs, jou bene kan beweeg, ek meen, en jy net die feit dat jy asemhaal en jy lewe is 'n tydelik it's a clear indication that God is not finished with you yet. He's not done with your story. There's still a story that is He's working behind the scenes. That even though you cannot see Him, even though sometimes you cannot feel Him, but just by small things. I remember when I was going through what I was going through, my 4-year-old daughter will just run up to me and tell me, "Mommy, I love you so much." And when she does that, she will just keep saying it, "Mommy, I love you," and will hug me and kiss me. Then that's me telling God, "Thank you. Thank you for letting me know today that you love me." Even in my depressed state, she will come to me and say that to me, and I will feel like I need to live, because there's someone that is looking up. There's someone that is depending on me. And I want to encourage you today that don't give up hope. I went through different seasons in my life. I went through different phases in my life. And I'm still going to go through, But I have this blessed assurance that Jesus is on my side. He will never leave me nor forsake me. He said, even though I go through the valley of the very shadow, things that you're going through is just a shadow of death. But I will fear no evil, for He is with me. Why? Because thy rod and thy staff protected me. David used the rod as an example, because every time that he have victories, he will carve in the staff when he overcome the bear, when he fought the lion and he defeated the lion. I have a rod with many testimonies on there. I get a resume. I have a CV. And every time that the devil tries to come and manipulate my mind or speak, I pull out my rod. That's why he says, "Thy rod en daai staff, they comfort me. Enige tyd wanneer die vyand vir jou wil sê, man, dis die einde, gaan haal 'n bietjie uit.
Yes.
I've overcome depression. I've overcome anxiety. I've overcome having to deal with the rebellious stage of being a preacher's kid. So whatever you throw at me, if I was able, through Christ, to overcome that,
Yeah.
I know I will overcome this as well.
Wow.
I will overcome. What I'm going through is just, I kept hearing this, to someone that is watching me, it's just temporal. If you can hang on in there for the next few months, before the year ends, I believe God is going to bring you out of whatever you are in.
Estelle, Hyman, ons kan heel dag aangooi, maar baie dankie dat jy gedeel het met ons. What an inspirational journey, en ons wens jou al die seën van die Here toe.
Thank you.
In julle ministry en life in the USA, en dat julle net groter sal word om die koninkryk van die Here uit te bou.
Thank you so
Dit
much.
was baie aangenaam, en ons hoop jy gaan sommer lankie by ons bly, but thank you so
Baie
much.
dankie, Pastor.
God bless you, mag die Here vir jou ryklik
Bless
seën. En ons weer Job sê, sluit vriendskap met hom sodat jy vrede kan hê, en daardeur sal goeie dinge oor jou kom. Amen.
Your